Elaine Sarsynski, young savers and employees are increasingly turning to target date funds to manage their retirement assets. Is this the best thing for them, to turn it over to a professional? Shouldn't they be allocating themselves?
Well, we do think that at MassMutual, that allocation, particularly for a millennial in a target date fund, does make a lot of sense. Millennials today have, in our plans, we have over 3 million Americans that we're responsible for, and our millennial population, about 51% of them are invested in target date. What this allows them to do is to have a portfolio manager that is very focused on their age of retirement and then managing that glide path over time, because after all, what we want them to do is to stay in their retirement plan for about 40 years at an average rate of about 6% and just stay saving, allocating about 10%.
And more employers want to make sure that their employees are saving, because I guess an employee that's not worried about their retirement is doing a better job on the job, right?
Absolutely. CFOs today are very worried about top-line growth, expenses, obviously their earnings, and we know today that productivity of employees is critical. And if 25% or so of your employees are disengaged because they're worried about their financial status, their retirement, their wellness overall, we know that's going to impact their earnings and it's going to impact the organization. So what we're doing is working with our CFOs and CEOs of organizations so that they better understand the economics associated with an aging workforce. And we know today that about 80% of our baby boomers, and these are folks that are retiring today, age 65 and older, about 80% are suggesting they're going to work longer, and that translates into higher benefit expenses, higher health care costs, higher disability, and just overall just not very productive for the organization.
Also, according to your research, women, when they retire, have more positive experiences. That said, they're awfully stressed, much more stressed than men. Can you explain why you think this is?
Some great research that we recently released late last year does suggest that women pre-retirement are more stressed than men. And that may be because their earnings levels over time have been lower. Only about 77 cents on every dollar that a man earns are in line for women. Also, they just don't have the same savings balance that men do. We have about 73% of the balance for a woman compared to a man. So we know that that stresses them. Of course, they have their children and aging parents and other things to concern themselves with. Post-retirement, what we're seeing, however, is they're actually happier and more well-adjusted than male counterparts. And we think that's because they're very focused on their relationships, they're focused on pursuing activities and perhaps a hobby that they put off in time, and they really are very adaptable in the retirement setting.
And then finally, on that note, one thing you found that is the longer that people are in retirement, the better they get at it, the less stressed they are, and the better they are at saving and managing their expenses. That was good to hear.
It is good to hear, and what we've learned that is probably for the first 1 to 5 years of retirement, you're really just experiencing the changes in expenses or perhaps travel or maybe some health care issues that you have to work on. And then as you begin to refine your understanding of retirement, you actually are happier, relaxed, more well-adjusted. About 75% of these retirees actually are happy in retirement, so I'm really looking forward to that.
All right. Thanks a lot for coming in and talking about it.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching The Street.